All right, how's it going, everyone? My name is Mason. Today we are going to be doing our getting started assignment, which is a quick compare between a couple of different aircrafts, and we're going to be talking about a fictitious company. Today I'm going to be talking about a tech company that has a good amount of revenue. They have a decent amount of change, and they're looking to get a business aircraft so that they can fly to business meetings that are, going to be pretty far. I would say they're probably going to be, something from New York to LA, something like that. Obviously, it's a fictitious company, so I'm not going to go really into detail too much about it, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. So going into the overview, I have our Excel spreadsheet popped up here. One of the things that I did was I put a green highlight over the ones that are winning versus the other aircraft. So if we look here first, the aircraft that we're going to be comparing, as I showed in the beginning slide, I just had a picture of each one of them. We're going to be looking at the King Air 260, the Piper M600, Pilatus PC-12 NGX, and then we're also going to be looking at a Daher Kodiak as well. As you can see from the price points there, the King Air is going to be the most expensive there at 7.7 million. Piper is going to be 4.1 million. Pilatus is going to be 6.2, and Daher Kodiak is going to be 3.2. The goal for my fictitious company is to be able to save as much money as possible, but also have something that's going to be reliable, efficient, save time, save money, and overall just be the best aircraft possible. And so we just looked into price there, and then we'll go over cabin volume next. So with my fictitious company, I'm looking for something with a lot of cabin room. I have a lot of different people that I need to be flying around. I might have, a good amount of people and also a good amount of luggage as well. So I'm looking for something that has a good amount of cabin volume. And as we look here, the King Air has 360 cubic feet. The Piper barely has any. The Pilatus has the most, and the Daher Kodiak actually does pretty well with 341 as well. The maximum range, I'm not too concerned about that. We're not going to be flying really internationally. This is kind of a company that we're going to be having meetings just inside the US. So that one was one that I felt like wasn't too big of an issue. One that I also wanted to bring a huge point into was the available payload. As you can see here with max fuel, the amount of pounds of stuff that we can have on the aircraft is 115 for the King Air, whereas the Pilatus is crushing it with 988. And that's something that makes me kind of lean towards the Pilatus. Not only is it 1.5 million cheaper, but you have more cabin room and you have more room for baggage and things like that. So right now, just out the gate, the Pilatus is looking like the best one for my company. Obviously, if we're talking about true airspeed here, the King Air 260 is going to be winning with 256 there. The other ones have 184, 225, and 164. They're not really looking nearly as good. So obviously with the King Air 260, you're going to be saving more time. As you can see, the trip time for a 300 nautical mile trip, you're saving, 10-15 minutes. It's not a big deal. But then I think also another really important thing is the direct costs for each trip. You can see that I highlighted the one under the 1,000 nautical mile trip just because it shows the biggest difference between them. We're looking at about $4,125 for a 1,000 nautical mile trip in the King Air, whereas the Pilatus is $3,000. So you're saving about $1,000 if you're going to be doing a pretty long trip every single time with the Pilatus. Along with that, the Piper also has 1994 there as the direct costs, which is really great, but we're trying to look for something a little bit higher in budget. We have enough money to be able to spend on this, but we're also trying to save and also be just make our company the best that it can be and save as much money as possible. So moving into our data representation here, it's kind of just all the stuff that I just talked about. Is I have the price divided by 10,000 on there just so the chart isn't super off on there. You can see that the Pilatus PC-12 is a decent chunk cheaper for sure. And then going into the direct cost there as well, you can see that the Piper, whereas it is the cheapest and it has the lowest direct cost, it doesn't have much cabin volume, and the true airspeed is very low as well. So I am at this point kind of cutting the Piper M600 out of my fictitious company at the moment. And I would kind of say the thing with the Daher Kodiak as well, just because the true airspeed is so slow on that, and I'm going to be going, from places like New York to LA and doing longer flights. So it's going to be really important to be able to get to these meetings on time, get there fast, not have to refuel, things like that. So cabin volume, again, that's a big one for me. And the PC-12, you can see is in the lead with that cabin volume as well, and it also has less direct costs than the King Air does as well. So now moving into our textbook reference here. So for the aircraft use policy, I chose the how the aircraft is to be used. And our company's aircraft is going to be primarily used for executive and client transportation, so also being able to take clients from place to place to improve efficiency and productivity, as it says there. The aircraft is going to be supporting regional and cross-country travel for important business meetings. And the biggest thing with this aircraft use policy is that we're going to be implementing a personal or non-business related use of the aircraft is prohibited. So we're not going to be able to use it, me as the CEO of this fictitious company, I'm not going to be able to use it for my own time to fly to the Bahamas and go on vacation. And that's something that's really important also for other execs and things like that, is to not be able to abuse this. And it's a business aircraft. So having these clear guidelines is going to help prevent confusion or misuse of the aircraft, and ensure fairness, of course. And establishing it, obviously, as we see there, it supports professionalism, stewardship, and accountability within the company. So really important as well. And for my biblical integration here, I chose 1 Corinthians 4:2. And this one states that now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. So this is really important, as when you're buying an aircraft that's $6-7 million, it's really important to, you're being trusted, with something that's a high-powered, expensive object. And it's really important that we use these resources with wisdom and integrity. And I think that's just really important, and not for personal gain, and that's kind of what this verse is getting at. And the application here, our company seeks to be faithful with its aircraft by using it for business purposes that support productivity and service. So yeah, that's my overview. At the end of the day, we're choosing the PC-12 because we have more cabin room, we're saving more money, it's not the most expensive aircraft on the market, but we can also get, from place to place. We can go from New York to LA, we can go on far trips, like I stated as well, and we're going to be able to save another $1,000 on every 1,000 nautical mile trip compared to, the King Air 260. So, yeah,